بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Please excuse my tardiness. Inshallah, I'll try to make it up for you another time. So we reached up in our book, wrong book, I'm sorry. Safinatun Najat, the Ark of Salvation. We reached up to page 21. And I told you, inshallah ta'ala, that I want to read, through these books so that we can kind of move. And as we read through them, we'll come back and do more details, have some details, inshallah. This is, we're on page 21. This is the curriculum that we will be using. So please go to the bookstore website. And grab your copies. We just had a long discussion about that, Hussein. I didn't see anything here. I don't know if anyone saw it, and we're still trying to figure that part out. If anyone happened to be available and had a local sighting, please inform me. But we didn't get one. So right now we're still waiting. It's not like Ramadan, so we have time because inshallah, someone may tell me today we saw something, we did, and we decide, but we have a couple days, at least 1 or 2 days. So really one day, because we're in that time. However, there was sighting overseas, and there was one in Montreal, according to Sister Fatima. So there was sightings. And according to the Hanafi school, it is valid to follow a global sighting. So if they had a sighting somewhere, it's valid. In the Shafi'i school, we have a local sighting. And, so may Allah make it easy. You know us, we love our moon wars. MashaAllah. So let us begin with Al-Fatiha to the soul of the author, Rahimahullah Ta'ala. Al-Fatiha. I mean, here's when we're learning, things are much easier, right? Because we understand the difference between al-madhahib And that is, for us as common people, a facility, right? So long as it's valid, according to mujtahid scholars, it's valid, and you are right? And there's no censoring, right? So long as someone is doing something valid, according to one of the great mujtahid scholars, it's okay, no problem, right? Because there is the rule, the common person does not have a madhab. Rather, his madhab is the judgment of the qualified scholar that gives him that legal verdict. We should write that. Please put that in emphasis. The common person, right, does not have a madhab. Rather, his madhab is the legal verdict of the qualified scholar who gives it to him. And the qualified scholar usually follows a madhab of the four schools. Is that point clear to everyone? Because it's a very important point. So when we say we are Shafi'i or we are Hanafi or we are Maliki, we're saying that meaning in most of the legal judgments, we follow the school of a Shafi'i or Abu Hanifa or Malik. Not that we are really, quote unquote, enrolled in the madhab, because that's a whole nother level of ijtihad. And we're not even at the lowest level of ijtihad, none of us. All right, Bismillah. Let us begin, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, said, prayer, excuses. The excuses for prayer are two. Number one, sleep, and number two, forgetfulness.
Meaning the excuses for not performing prayer in its due time. As Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He said, Inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitabin mawquta. That the prayer, certainly the prayer, is prescribed on the believers at specific times. So one of the excuses for not praying in its due time, or the excuses are one overslept from the time the prayer came in until it went out, or one forgot. And the Prophet ﷺ, Allah said that Allah has lifted upon his nation that which is done by mistake and that which is done by forgetfulness.
The prerequisites for prayer are 8. Number 1, purity from minor and major impurification. Number 2, purity of the clothes, body, and place of prayer.
Whenever you say major and minor ritual pure, they say in Arabic, al-hadathain, the two types of impurity. Al-hadath al-asghar, write this so you have it, al-hadath al-asghar, which is minor ritual impurity. Allah. And al-hadath al-akbar, which is major ritual impurity. Right? Sorry, I'm a slow typer. Uh, so when you say, if you just say al-hadath, that means minor ritual impurity. If you say al-junub or al-janaba, excuse me, it is major ritual impurity. So that's the way you will find it in the books of al-fiqh, right? Al-janaba meaning al-hadath al-akbar. And when they just say al-hadath, it means al-hadath al-asghar. One state necessitates al-wudu, and the other states necessitates al-ghusl. So if there is a condition before one can pray that one is free from these two types of ritual impurity.
Number 3, covering one's nakedness. Awrah. Number 4.
Number two.
Number 2, purity of the clothes, body, and place of prayer.
Purity. الطهارة عن النجاسة في الثوب والبدن والمكان والمحمول له. So when you have the second condition that he mentions is purity from najasa, which is ritual filth, right? And najasa. And that must be in one's clothing, what one wears, no najasa on what one wears, on one's body, one's actual skin and flesh, or the place that you stand on. In other words, you can't be in contact with najasa. And what one carries in the prayer. So for instance, you may be a doctor, for instance, or you may be going to the doctors, and you may have a urine sample, for instance, in your pocket. If you prayed with that urine sample in a bottle that was clean, the bottle, and sealed in a bag, for example, if that was in your pocket while you prayed, the prayer would be invalid. Why? Because you are carrying a najasa. Y'all follow? Or you have a tissue with blood on it in your pocket that's carrying najasa, and it would be invalid. Is this point clear? Okay, go ahead.
Number 3, covering one's nakedness. Awrah.
Here, let's get strict in the Shafi'i school. Just for those who want to be religiously precautious. And all of us should want to do ما هو أهوات في الدين. That which is more religiously safe, right? When you cover your aura, for the man, it's everything in the Shafi'i school between the navel and the knees, the free man, right? The male, I don't have to say female, the male, between the navel and the knees. For the female, it's everything except her hands and face. Now, the face is from the normal hairline to the chin, here, from the normal headline to the chin, and from ear to ear in width. So this is the face. So our sisters, if you want to be religiously precautious, make sure you bring your hijab up to here when you pray, right? Praying like this in the Shafi'i school is invalid, meaning if your hijab is here and all of this is showing, the prayer is invalid in the Shafi'i school. And it's always a problem with people, but we should tell you for religious safety. I cannot speak about other madhahib. I don't know, right? I know, I believe, usually in these cases, the Maliki school is the most facilitating in these issues of the aura. So that may not be the case, and we should check in the Maliki school. They may have more flexibility. However, in the Shafi'i school, there is not that. There's the flexibility don't exist, right? So, and even in the Maliki school, if you did it, it's okay. So for safety, at least when you pray, for the validity of your prayer, bring your hijab here. Or wear, just for your prayer, the one that covers and just you put your head through and it covers, so you're safe. This is for your religious safety, because on the day of judgment, you want that your prayer is valid and accepted. And of course, you want your head cover to be your forehead to be exposed. Are y'all all clear with me, sisters? Any questions about this issue? But I would be negligent in not telling you. Okay, good.
Number 4, facing the direction of prayer.
Here, listen. This is a big controversial issue here in North America. My suggestion to you is that you learn how to determine the direction of Al-Qibla, right? To the best of your ability, from those whom you trust. And then follow that. As for one side or the other dictating to you what you should do, that is a mistake, even if people do it. That is a mistake, even if people do it. Because none of us, no matter who we are, no matter how intelligent we are, actually see Al-Kaaba, which is the Qibla. None of us. None of us in North America see Al-Kaaba. So all of us are trying to face that direction based on our independent efforts of finding that direction and locating it, right? So you'll never find me engaging in such an argument, because I think it is an argument. At the end of the day, in the Shafi'i school, it's not something that is absolute, especially when we don't see Al-Kaaba. It's not absolute and definitive, no matter what nobody say. And this is clear in the books of in Shafi'i fiqh. When you don't see the Kaaba, that's not a definitive position. That is a position of ijtihad. You could be right and you could be absolutely wrong, right? So I don't suggest you get in a big argument about that. Some will do it, and some will say your prayer is not valid and you close to being a Wahhabi, whatever, right? In the Shafi'i school, that argument don't hold weight. right, at all. Even if I'm in the wrong direction and I don't believe you, I don't think you're right, I don't have to follow you. That's the Shafi'i school. I don't have to, I can't follow you. Not only do I don't follow you, I can't. I don't believe you. I think you're wrong. Based on whatever I think you're wrong on, you're wrong to me. I can't follow you. Right? So sometimes we give one side of the coin and forget the other. Right? So I suggest you don't waste your time with that. Do your best. Trust, follow those whom you think are knowledgeable enough and you trust, and go about your business. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So you'll never get that from me. You'll never hear me having a big argument about this issue. I'll state the position, what my teachers have told me, what I understood, and I'll leave it there. If you don't agree with it, then go do what you got to do. I'm not going to be mad at you. Do what you got to do. That's what you have to do. According to the Shafi'i school, you don't believe me, you don't trust me, you think I'm wrong, you think I made a mistake, then you have to do what you have to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Go do it. Is this point clear without being explicit? Is this clear? Because people often try to drag us into this debate that I think is fruitless, honestly, in my opinion. Not facing the Qibla is fruitless. Your ijtihad, whether I agree with it or not, is a fruitless argument. It's at the end of the day, if I don't accept you, and I think you're a liar anyway, so it don't make a difference, right? So I can't trust you anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. It's a waste of time. I don't know. Sometimes I could be overboard, but people use any reason to control us. So just be careful. Don't let nobody control you. We're men and women, and we're an independent community and nation and people. And we have the God-given right to chart our own directions. We don't need to comply with your subjugation of us. No. We're men and women. We're an independent nation. You will not colonize us, even with your fatwas. All right, that's me having fun. Don't pay me no attention. Go ahead. In that part, I mean, when I'm going overboard.
Number 5, the time for prayer has entered.
Right. So that means that means you have to know when prayer enters. And we talked about that when we talked about the different times in which I think the author will go into it again, I think. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Number 6, knowing that the prayer is obligatory. Number 7, not believing one of its obligatory acts to be recommended. And number 8, avoiding invalidators.
Right.
Causes of ritual impurification. The events occasioning purification are 2. Number 1, minor, and number 2, major. Minor events require ablution. Major events.
The question of how to determine the Qibla is an entire class, an entire lesson. That actually needs to be physically done. You're not going to be able to explain that just talking. You need to actually be with somebody and go over all the different ways to do that. And you need to physically see it. Because especially now, most of us wouldn't know the difference between a star and a satellite in the sky. Seriously, we wouldn't distinguish between an actual star and a satellite. We wouldn't know the difference. If I just told you, go outside and show me the stars, you might point to a satellite. Right? Be shocking how many of us don't even understand the shape of the earth or how to tell winds or any of those things. So that is it involves more than some simple just do this. It's not that's not that simple. I know we like to make things simple, but it's not that simple. That's why anybody can do it, right? Because they'll be mistaken. We did an experiment to give you the other day, and we were driving, and we were just we were on one road running parallel to the masjid. The masjid is on another road. So, you know, those who've been to Atlantic City, the masjid is on a major highway. But then you have the main expressway in the middle. So we were on the expressway looking. So as we were getting close, I said, show me the direction of the masjid. You can't see it, but you know exactly where the masjid is. Which way we stop right here? Which way do we pray to face? If the masjid, for instance, was Al-Kaaba, we're here. Show me the direction of the masjid. I was trying to make a point. And we're right. If we took the buildings away, you could see the masjid. We could not determine with any precision, right, where the masjid exactly was. We were just trying to face the direction because we couldn't see the masjid. Then as we moved and moved and moved, we was directly in front of the masjid, but there were tents blocking the masjid. We knew we were directly in front of the masjid, but there was tents blocking it, so we couldn't see it. And that's okay, which direction is the masjid? It's still difficult. That's we right here. Now you're talking about thousands of miles away with no possibility of seeing. How difficult is that? And in the Shafi'i school, for instance, and I'm going around this without going into specific details, right? In the Shafi'i school, you got to face the actual Kaaba or its direction if you're far away from it, right? So you're not looking for the area, you're trying to face the Kaaba and its direction. But when you're not seeing the Kaaba, all you're doing is looking for its direction as best as you can. That's it. Because as from that example, you're not going to hit the Kaaba most likely. So if you sat wherever you were at and you made a direct walk to Al-Kaaba from where you at, you may miss the Kaaba by miles. If you went straight to Al-Kaaba from your direction, the point that you're facing, believing that you're facing the Kaaba, if you were to practically move, you may find yourself miles away from the Kaaba. So that means you're not sure. So you're facing a direction. But your facing of direction doesn't have certainty. It's not absolute. I'm just trying to ease your mind from the stress that someone can make that is really like foolish. It's not something to be stressed out about, especially when you have equally qualified people on both sides of the discussion saying different things. For common people, that's confusion. So what it boils down to is who I like the best, not really substantial, absolute, definitive evidences. It's not based on that. Because the whole issue is an issue of what? The whole issue is an issue of trying to decide without certainty the proper direction. It's a worthless. For common people, you ain't gonna figure that out. Trust me. The great scholars ain't figured that out. I don't know how you think you got it. Right? Go ahead. All right. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I would suggest I would suggest that you find someone who you can be with that could take you through the books of al-fiqh, show you the rulings, then physically show you how to do that. That is my encouragement for someone who is really troubled about that. But if the one who is not troubled and you trust the person you're following, then go ahead with it. Yes, it is true. It is true. And my teachers actually did that. So that's why I face the direction I face. My teachers actually did it, and I know them to be trustworthy teachers. So everyone has a different thing. Okay, go ahead. All right, I promise I'm not going into this no more. That's just my spiel. Because I know it's a fitna that I don't think helps us any, right? Okay, go ahead. Dag, time is over. Go ahead.
Number 7. Excuse me, I'm wrong. Number 6. Where am I at? I'm so sorry. I was listening to your conversation.
I had a imam that I was very close to, right? He said, so we used to get into these different debates, right? About different stuff, not just all the Qibla, but all kinds of stuff. And he used to say, he was older Egyptian, right? He says, listen, you got to go for the fitna. Listen, that's where everyone wants to know. Just go for the fitna. You'll keep everybody's attention. He said. So al-ahdath ithnan, asghar wa akbar. The types of ritual impurity are 2, minor and major.
Yes. The events
Don't worry, Rita, I'm good at branching off and coming back. Sometimes we would have class and the branching would last for a week. We would be in a text and then some issue comes up and the branching and that issue would be a whole week of everyday classes branching. And then we have to remember exactly where we came back. One of the good things to do, we have this as modern stuff. Take one of these and always just have it when you read and just move it. When you see the conversation is going far, go just like this. See, I got this book, just go boop, and then just wait. So you know exactly where you're at. So everyone should go to your store, Staples or somewhere, and just buy a pack of these and just put it in your book. You see, I got markings all over the place. Different times when I'm studying, reading, reviewing, listening to my own teachers, which I'm doing when I be doing these books, and I just mark. It will help you. Okay, good. We gotta get ready to stop.
Number 2, major. Minor events require ablution. Major events require the purification bath.
And we'll stop there, right? I want to show you something. You want to hold on 1 second. To give you, so if you look here, you'll notice, right? You see all those? That's the example. And multiple readings, doing different things, going through one book. You see how many different spots where we would stop, branch, research, go searching, to where one issue would just lead to other stuff. So everywhere you see one of those different stickies, that means we branched at that point. And we started talking about other stuff or adding other stuff to. Sometimes I got some of my books that I'm studying with my teachers that are filled with these. Because sometimes we may not come back. We may go to another book or doing something, and I still have to remember where we were at in the last book. So it'll just be like branching and branching, and then you just keep going, right? So this is an idea that would work for you, right? It will help you, because when you're studying traditionally, that's going to happen. When you're reading with your teachers or someone else is reading, and sometimes we're in a session and more than one book is being read in the session on the teacher, not just one book. So this one is reading that book, this one's reading that book, this one's reading that book. And sometimes you may have 3 or 4 books being read. So you're starting to mark each book because you're following and you're attending the lessons. So, it works. Okay. And get in the habit. I know I'm frustrating some people with the way we do it, even with this book, because we was off of it. We went in the other book. But that's the way of learning. Everything's not going to be just. Okay, so we're here real quick. We're done for today in our lesson. Sorry, please forgive me really for being late. I was trying to work this Eid thing out. All right, so here's the deal, right? We didn't have a sighting in Atlantic City, right? So our normal way, according to the Shafi'i school, is that we would have, from what I'm knowing right at this moment, we would have Eid on Sunday. However, people have sighted the moon in other places, not in my local area or in my region that I know as of yet. That doesn't mean they didn't. I just didn't know about it yet. So according to the Hanafi school, it is valid so long as there's a sighting, even if it's global. That's valid in the Hanafi school. So some of the sightings are global. They did see it, right, in different places. So they are, even my teachers announced overseas that we saw the moon, right? So I accept that, right? And we used to always, that's how I used to go, because I would just go with my teachers who actually do sighting, and that was according to the school of Hanafi, and it would alleviate all that. But because, what's the go? Is that San Diego, Issa? Issa, where's that at? Because Fatima said it's Canada. Sorry, Fatima, we can't accept your sighting report. I'm messing with you. Did anyone in their area hear about a sighting? Not in Philly, in Philadelphia. Here we go. See, someone said in Philadelphia, and then said no, in Philadelphia. Someone said yes, in Philadelphia. Which one is it? So someone said Maryland. Be careful with people saying it was cited. Listen, in the Shafi'i school, you need two trustworthy witnesses, men who said they saw the new moon, right? For the other months besides Ramadan, right? Right? So you cannot just say that it was cited. It was cited by whom, right? I'm just saying we want to be religiously more precautious, right? Right? But a lot of times we'll find that it's just reporting. It was on the internet and someone said, we saw. Who's we? Right? So that's what we usually wait for trustworthy people to say, we saw, right? Right. So I'm just giving you just for the point of that. But we're going to find out, inshallah. We got all day, right? Uh, all right. So with all that being said, right? Uh, what we're going to do, if sometime today we get a trustworthy confirmation of the sighting of the moon, uh, we'll have Eid on Saturday, like everyone else is doing, right? And the cookout will be on Saturday, the 9th, right? And Eid, everything will be together. So let's prepare all to be here Saturday, right? And uh, let's prepare that. With the possibility that we may have it Sunday, the cookout Sunday, and Eid prayer on Sunday. So even if you prayed in your local area, because they did everything on Saturday, and we did it Sunday, you still could have the cookout and we'd be all good. So I'll know by tomorrow for sure, right? That's just because we're having this event. So I'll know for sure by tomorrow, and I'll announce it tomorrow morning what we're going to actually do. Is that good for everyone? But I'm going to take counsel with everyone involved with this to see what is the best thing to do for everybody, right? We all good? Is that clear for everyone? But I would like everyone to have the intention to be here Saturday and Sunday. That way we get a weekend together. So we'll make use of it no matter what. So if we can all get here Saturday and Sunday and just plan, but you'll know before which day the cookout is actually going to be. But if we can stay for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, let's make use of the whole thing. Since we are coming all the way to Atlantic City, let's make use of it. Just 2 days. So we don't have to worry about Monday. It's just Saturday and Sunday. Any questions before we close out? No questions. We're good. Everyone is clear. This class should be sure to stir up some rebuttals. That guy. All right. Let us tonight. Today's Thursday, right? Yes. Tonight, Sheikh Yahya will continue his class in the 7 Hadith. About fasting, you're going to fast the day of Arafat. So if you believe that Arafat falls on Friday, based on your, say if you're Hanafi, or you're following that methodology, or your community is doing that, then you're going to fast on Friday. If you were Shafi'i and you didn't get a sighting in your area, your region, you're going to fast on Saturday. But I don't think for us that we make this a hard issue. We come up with something that we can agree, following trustworthy scholarship, and make life easy for ourselves. Let's not make it difficulty. You can't fast on the day of the Eid, so you have to determine what day you think the Eid is going to be, meaning based on something you're following valid, because you can't fast on the Eid. It's haram. And in no case, for legal rulings, what Saudi Arabia does is an evidence. They're doing this in Saudi Arabia. It doesn't make a difference. It has nothing to do with the rules of the religion. Y'all all understand that part, right? We do. Because many people, they come to me, well, Saudi Arabia said Hajj is going to be this day. I don't care what Saudi Arabia said. That's not the rule in the religion. In no book of fiqh does it says whatever the kings of Saudi Arabia say, the rulers of Saudi Arabia say. That's in no book of fiqh. That's not our discussion. We all know that, right? We're sure of that, right? No necessary, huh? Okay, good. Barakallahu bikum. May Allah reward you all. We're trying to navigate to facilitate all of us with all our different circumstances and different needs, and we should. So long as it's not the day of the Eid, then you should make up your fast. But don't do that on the Eid day. Oh, Sister Wafia, can you send me a picture of your book and we can put it up so people can support you and how to get your book? Right? We should support each other. So send me a picture of your book and how to order it, and I'll share it with everyone, inshallah. One day you're going to be an award-winning author. We're going to help you. Author, inshallah. Tayyib, may Allah reward you. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.